You are welcome to Literature Hub 247, a unique online literature class. My name is Elizabeth L.A Kamara. This video is about an African poem titled New Tongue. New Tongue is composed by Elizabeth L.A Kamara. The poem is one of the 6 African poems recommended by WAEC in the 2026 to 2030 syllabus. Now, in the first instance, I want us to explain the meaning of tongue, both the literal and the literary meaning of tongue. Literally, a tongue refers to a mammal organ found in the mouth. We all know tongue. The organ is very essential in human speech making. Literally, it can be referred to as a language or way of speaking. Now, the title of the poem, New Tongue. New tongue refers to the acquisition of a new language, which is transformative. It involves a new way of communicating and speaking. That is new tongue. The word new. The word new in the title indicates that the language is not only foreign, but the people are not familiar with it. That is, when you say something is new, that means we are not familiar with it. It's different from what we are used to. It is different entirely from the speaker's original language. It thereby emphasizes the challenges and difficulties the people have to face in learning a new language. The poem also captures the effects of the new language on the people. Now, I try to identify some difficult expressions in the poem, and I also give the poetic meaning, that is, the meaning according to the way they are used in the poem. The first one there is new tongue. It means new language. Minds batter into new modes. Rigorous learning of language. This is making reference to what the people have to go, what they pass through while learning the language. The whole song, that is the whole language. Careless of bonds means careless of relationships. Ears blocked to the old tongue, it means lost interest in their language, that is their whole language. Hang the last lock on their catcher, that is departed from their catcher. Now let's do the analysis of the poem, New Tongue. The poem also opens with the acquisition of the new language and the transformation it brings to the people's lives. It also emphasizes the rigors the people pass through in learning the language. Now let's go from the poem. They speak in a new tongue and dance new dances. Mind batter into new modes and shapes. It requires a lot of effort to acquire and communicate with the new language. They are not just learning a new language, but also assimilating to a new culture. Through days, they are adapting to new ways of life and customs. That is, while learning the new language, they are also assimilating a new culture, a new ways of life. They are learning a new ways of life. The poem also reflects on the attitudes of the people after the acquisition of the new language. The people are excited about the language, which is a new form of colonization. Now, from the poem again. Their eyes revel in the wonder of the new, embraced and bound heart with impregnable change. The old songs as disregarded dreams, quote unquote. The poem stresses the beauty in the original language abandoned by the people. It refers to the language as a symbol that unifies families and brings friends together. Let's go to the poem again. The old songs as disregarded dreams, remnants of past, ties of family and friendship, losing broken bonds. The ashes thrown into the bottomless sea as fishes swim by, careless of the loss, mindful of where they dare, a new generation, careless of bonds, of family, of tradition, of heritage, quote unquote. I don't want to repeat the whole poem here so that we don't waste time. So I hope you have the text of the poem with you. Now, all these are bonds, and the ashes are thrown into a very deep sea. That is, the beauties in the old language. They are all forgotten as a new generation of people is born. There are no more family bonds, respect for tradition and heritage. They have forgotten all this. They abandon all this. Since they have abandoned the language, their original language. They don't care about giving respect to the headers any longer, as we have in the original culture. They cannot think straight again. Their minds are compared to the inside of clothes. Now from the poem again. No room for headers. No, not even on the edge of their mind. Their hearts blocked to the whole tongue and ways of doing things, quote unquote. So they don't want to hear their language again. They are no longer listening to the advice from their headers. They don't even want to speak or hear their original language or ways of life any longer. They are engrossed in the new language and culture. They promote the new borrowed language and culture. There is no family bond. It's every man for himself, by himself, and of himself. That is a solo life. Me and my wife and children. Alone. Africans are not like that. The poet metaphorically refers to the new way of life as a wrinkleness and compares it to a snow-covered mountain and the cold one face while bathing at the back of a house on a rainy July day. These are imageries. They also describe how fast the new language and the culture spread among the people. It is compared to wind falling trees, cutting roofs and sheds away, throwing debris in the air. He's trying to compare how the language spread, how the language and the culture spread among the people, how fast it spread. He now compares it to wind falling trees, cutting roofs and sheds away, throwing debris in the air. In the last part of the poet describes how the people completely forgot their culture and focused on the new language and culture. So that's the analysis of the poem. Now let's now identify some of the themes of new tongue. The first one is language and identity. The poem stresses the importance of language as it serves as the identity of the speaker. When somebody loses his language, his identity is lost. That's a fact. We see this when the people drop their language and acquire a new language. The new language changes their culture and ways of life. Now let's look at this image here. You see, it changes their culture and ways of life. This is a modern dressing, a modern greeting, shaking hand. It's never African. So that's what the poet is trying to bring out there. Cultural assimilation. The poem establishes the fact that learning a new language is a step towards assimilating a new culture. It also implies that the process of assimilation is not easy. It can be difficult and painful. That is, when you are learning a new thing, you have to undergo certain training. Since the new language is totally different from their original language. Transformation. This poem expresses one of the advantages of the acquisition of a new language, that it is transformative, that is, the people are transformed. The acquisition of a new language is transforming them into a new person. They drop the old ways of life and embrace new ones. They are now able to interact, communicate, and understand people from different cultural backgrounds. Look at it now. When you are able to speak in English, you'll be able to communicate with people from various countries of the world. The richness of African culture. New tongue itemizes the richness of African culture. According to the poem, African culture is capable of uniting the people. Families, friends, and relatives are brought together. The new culture, where the people find themselves after the acquisition of the new language, is totally different. It is every man for himself, by himself, of himself. So those are some of the themes of the poem. Now the poetic devices that bring beauty to the poem. The poet makes use of some figures of speech to add beauty to the poem and concretize the subject matter of the poem. The figures of speech are explained below. The first one is repetition. This is a popular figure of speech. This is a literary device used to lay emphasis and call the attention of the readers. New, quote unquote, is repeated from line 1 to line 4 of the poem. This is to call the attention of the readers to the changes that take place after the acquisition of the new language. It is also repeated in the other lines of the poem. There is also the repetition of off in lines 16, 17, and 18. Himself is also repeated in lines 32, 33, and 34. Please let's check the poem. Alliteration. This is a literary device whereby a consonant sound is pronounced at the beginning of two or more words in a line of poems. It is a figure of sound and it is used in lines 4, 6, 8, 9, 36, and 44. Let's check it out. Simile is a figure of comparison. Two things are compared with the use of as or like. We have this in lines 23, 35, and 36. We also have personification. This is when the attributes of the animate are given to the inanimate. This is used in line 24. That married the bodies of mankind, quote unquote. We also have parallelism. This is a literary device in which all or parts of the sentence are similar in construction or grammatically the same. This is in lines 16, 17, and 18. Now we have it in the poem. We have of family, of tradition, of heritage. Use that they have a similar construction. It is also in lines 32, 33, and 34. For himself, by himself, of himself. We also have imagery. This is a literary device in which the readers perceive the images of what is being read in a poem. The mental picture is being built in the brain. This is used in the second to the last stanza. Let's go from the poem again. A strange coldness descending like snow covered mountain, or like beating at the back of the house on a rainy July day. The gusts of wind falling trees, cutting roofs away, tugging skirts, and swirling debris in the air, and swirling debris in the air. See that we are perceiving the image in our brain, that is imagery. Well, I have a book that covers all the poems. I have the books. There are two books. This one covers the 2021 to 2025 syllabus, while this one covers 2026 to 2030 syllabus. This is a new syllabus. So if you need the copies, just connect me through the phone number at the back of this book, or you can search Fola Ilekan on Google. So there you see all my social media platforms. You can connect me through any of the platforms. So if you are new on this channel, try and click on the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever any video is produced. Teachers in the house, as I always say, introduce your students to this platform. If you have any question or any comment, send it to the comment section and it will be attended to. You are free to share our videos on any social media platform. So as you are doing that, God bless you and I wish you best of luck.